Hey everybody, it is time for a Rahdo rundown of Fort. But before I get to that, hi, my name is Chuon. I'm helping Rahdo cover even more board games. Today, we're going to be covering a board game called Fort. Now in Fort, you are a kid. Unless you already are a kid. But are we all? Now as a kid, you're trying to make friends at the park, hang out with them in your yard, and also make friends at random places that you meet them in. We're also going to be eating pizza, playing with toys, and of course, building a fort. Now for today's rundown, we're gonna start off on turn 3 of Fort. So first off, here's how your turn works in Fort. You're gonna start off by clearing your yard. We are telling all our friends to go home for the day, so I'm gonna go ahead and take Moose, discard him, and also take Doodles and discard him as well. And then I'm gonna play a card from my hand. So let me explain the cards real quick from my hand. So I have Captain, and here I have a public action in the white rectangle above. This allows me to advance one fort. So the public action also means that if I were to use this action, anyone else in the game can also follow that action if they discard a card of the same suit. So since I'm playing for green, if pink were to follow this action, then all they have to do is discard a book symbol or a wild card symbol, and then they can also advance their fort as well. The forts are listed on your player board and they advance from left to right. So you score more and more victory points the higher you go in the fort track. They also cost resources as you go, more and more resources. They cost pizza and they cost toys labeled in orange and blue respectively. And they also have a wild symbol which is shown in white. And when you go from level 0 to 1, you also gain a bonus, which is a made-up rule. These act as incentives. Made-up rules act as incentives for you to kind of just follow and guide you throughout the game. They'll score you bonus victory points at the end. And when you go to level 3, you also get a perk. Think of a perk as like a bonus ability that you get. So that was for the public action that's always going to be listed up top of the card. On the bottom, you have a private action, which means it is exclusive to you and you only. So for my private action for Captain, it allows me to copy whatever resources an opponent has in their backpack, and I get to put it in my stuff. So in this case, if I were to copy Pink's backpack, I would get 2 pizzas and 1 toy. And then I would put it in my own stuff, which is this area up here. You have a maximum of 4 toys and 4 pizzas that you can hold at any one time. The rest are in the pack. So that was for Captain. Next up, I have Lefty, which is now a shovel resource. This one also allows me to advance a fort for my public action and also get to gain 2 victory points. The bottom one here says I can put a card in my lookout. And that's the last place of the player board to explain. So here, the lookout is whatever card you want to put in this slot over here. So if I were to play Lefty, I can put a card right here. And the reason why I want to do that is because some cards will give you bonuses depending on how many cards you have in your lookout. You also have a maximum cards that you can store in your lookout. So in this case, since my fort level is at 1, and that means I can store up to 2 cards in my lookout. So that was for Lefty. Scout allows me to put a resource from my stuff and put it in my pack per shovel card that I discard. So if I were to play Scout, I can then discard Lefty. I can put a total of 2 of any resources that I like in my backpack since I have 2 shovels that I discarded. The private action allows me to gain 2 toys for me and me only. And lastly, I have 2 of my best friends denoted by a star symbol. No one can ever take best friends from you, and everyone starts with 2 best friends depending on the player board that they chose. So in this case, my 2 best friends are Zip and Blades. Blades allows me to gain 2 of any resources that I like. Again, public action, so anyone else can follow that. My private action means I have to trash a card. So I don't have to use both actions, but I must complete one before completing the other, if I choose to use both. And for Zip here, for my public action, I have advance a fort. Private action, there's nothing listed. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by playing Captain. Captain allows me to advance a fort. So in order for me to advance a fort, I have to pay 1, 2, 3 resources. I have to pay 1 pizza, 1 toy, and then 1 of anything I like. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a toy as well. And then I can move a fort up here, and I can now get a perk. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this perk over here called Do-Over. Do-Over essentially allows me to play a card again by trashing this card here. So since I use Captain's public action, that means Pink can follow it up if they want to, but they don't have enough resources to advance in the next level of fort yet. Plus, Pink has no books to discard. So they're going to skip on following the leader's action. And then my private action allows me to copy from a rival's pack. In this case, they have 2 pizzas and they have 1 toy. So I can take 2 pizzas, put it here, and also take 1 toy as well. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use my perk card. So I'm gonna go ahead and trash this, which allows me to play another card back to back. In this case, I wanna advance my fort, but I'm missing 1 more toy in order to do so. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Scout. So I'll go ahead and use Scout's private action, which allows me to gain 2 toys for myself. So what have I done so far? I've cleared my yard, I told all my friends to go home, and they are in the discard pile. And then I played a card from my hand, which allows me to advance a fort. I played a second one because I gained a perk that I used right away. And then thirdly, I can now recruit a friend from the park, which is located here right below the victory point track. I can also gain a card from another player's yard. I can visit their yard and take one of their friends. Or I can gain a random friend from the park deck. Right now I'm thinking, okay, since Lefty has a private action of allowing me to put a card in my lookout, I want a card that can complement that. So scanning the park and the yard, I think I want to take Prince because Prince allows me to gain victory points for each card in my lookout. And that is going to help me big time to pair up with Lefty. So I'm going to take this card and put it in my discard pile. And then step 4, I now discard all my best friends. So Blades and Zip will now get discarded. And then any cards that I've played, which were Scout and Captain, also goes to my discard pile. And then lastly, anything remaining in my hand is going to be available for everyone to use in my yard. And lastly, since I have no cards in my deck, I'm now going to shuffle up my discard pile and then draw 5 cards from there. So from there, it's going to go to the next player and then they become the next leader. So when they play a friend card and they use a public action, I can follow that public action by using a card of the same suit. The game ends once a player reaches 25 points, which is labeled in red on the victory point track, once a player reaches fort level 5, or once a park deck is out of cards. Those are the 3 endgame conditions. So if you're someone who enjoys highly thematic deck builders and managing cards across multiple sources, you might want to check out Fort. And that is a rundown of Fort. Thank you all for joining us here today, and we'll see you in the next one.